You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cricket Podcast, where the IPL is properly underway. And most importantly, I am back from skiing to talk about it. I am Jack Hope. I'm joined by Max Rowe Brown. How are you doing, Max Rowe Brown?
I am delighted that you have returned, Jack. I didn't know what to do with myself last week. I was lost.
Oh, I listened to the show. You sounded awful. Probably the worst show probably the worst show I've ever listened to. No, it's good. We're also hoping, yet to fully coordinate, however, that Dan Weston will be joining us after part one, but possibly after part two, and possibly if we fail to coordinate. Not at all, but I think that's a great reason to listen to the whole podcast. The potential for a late
Dan
entry
turns
for
up.
Dan Weston. Yeah, exactly.
And maybe
other
Frankie,
messages-
if we're lucky.
Frankie, I thought brought more to the last podcast than you.
Thanks, Jack.
Harsh, maybe.
Yeah.
Harsh, maybe. But I think effectively what I'm saying is that a dog was more interesting than my co-host. What does that say about me? I don't know. What does it say about you? I don't know that either. Games. Should we do the show menu? Here's what we'll be talking about. KKR v Mumbai Indians. A battering for KKR. Are Mumbai Indians back? Rajasthan Royals v CSK. A game that wasn't as close as 6 runs actually tells you it was. Sunrisers Hyderabad v the Delhi Capitals. Are Delhi good? That's a great question. The Delhi debate. We need to have it. Add Gujarat Titans v Mumbai Indians. So the whole suite from the weekend, plus one bonus game on Monday. Before we properly get going, though, make sure you click the like and subscribe to the Cricket Podcast on whichever platform you are listening on. I've looked at the data. I can see that a large number, more than 50% max, of our regular listeners aren't subscribers, and that makes me sad. What are you doing?
Well, maybe they're just the listeners that only catch the shows that have got me on, and it's just not engaging enough.
Yeah, it could be. But I'm here. I'm probably be here for the rest of the IPL. Are you going on any holidays, Max? Maybe we can really flag the good shows in advance.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's one holiday, but you and Jack are you and Ross are both on that, so that might be an issue.
Cool. I think that's in May, isn't it? But a fair ways off, month and a half off. Max, should we talk about today's cricket? Do you want to run us through the scorecard, the main events, etc.?
Well, it was a pretty one-sided affair at the old Wankhede today, with KKR and Mumbai facing off. Mumbai, after their opening couple of defeats, needing to get back on the horse. KKR, 1 win, 1 loss. You know, things were looking okay, if not spectacular. They certainly were spectacularly bad for them today, as it was back to the good old days of Mumbai Indians, with Trent Boult taking early wickets, Deepak Chahar taking early wickets. And the only difference from how Mumbai usually destroy you is that it wasn't Jasprit Bumrah, all-star T20 hero, coming and breaking through the KKR batting lineup. It was a new guy called Ashwani Kumar, who came in and was the first Indian ever to take 4 wickets on his IPL debut. Good work, Ashwani. Good work, Mumbai Indians scouting department. And 160 all out was all KKR managed to post. And when KKR failed to take an early Mumbai Indians wicket in the chase, it was, well, over. But not over enough for us to be denied Suryakumar Yadav coming in and hitting some weird, wristy Suryakumar Yadav shots, as we like to see. So there was a little flourish at the end for us to keep a little of engagement, but it was crushing.
It was a total battering, wasn't it? I mean, obviously the main event here is Mumbai Indians bowling really coming to the party. Another debutant picking up a bunch of wickets. I think that's twice in 2 games. A debutant that's taken 3+ wickets for Mumbai Indians, which is not bad. But it was nice you're right. Like, let's start with the batting from Mumbai Indians. This is the way to get it done, isn't it? If you're chasing a low score, finish it in 12 overs, get a nice big boost to your net run rate. It eases the bruising, shall we say, after they start the season with 2 defeats.
Yeah, and the first game against CSK was a little bit of a, well, it wasn't, I suppose, as much of a dropping as it could have been, but it was a fairly hefty loss. So, yeah, nice reversal. They're back in the positive net run rate sphere now. That takes them up to 0.3. Good work, Mumbai. Because that's all we look at now in cricket. Where are you in net run rate? Doesn't matter how many points you get. It's just your net run rate, because that's what will decide it when it comes down to it. At least that was the case last year. Yeah, it was good to see them do it in style. It looked a little dicey in the first over. Like Ryan Rickleton couldn't actually get his bat anywhere near the ball for a little while. But once the ball stopped hooping around, they got on it. Good stuff.
Can I flag one other batting thing from Mumbai Indians before we talk about the bowling and debutant? Rohit Sharma, Max, again, 0, 8, and 13. Not a great start to the season for him. None of us picked him as the flop of the season. Where is he on the flopometer scale so far?
Well, that's a good point. I guess the question is, how much should you reasonably be expecting from Rohit Sharma in the first place? Maybe more than 0, 8, and 13. I'll grant you that. But he's trending up, going in the right direction. If it was 13, 8, and 0, then I'd be really worried.
Yeah, actually, when you put it like that, it's not quite an exponential rise, is it? But it is definitely trending upwards. So by the end of the year, I think we'd be expecting at least 70 runs in the final, which will probably mean we forget all about this. He's on my radar. Maybe we should have some sort of flopometer radar, and I don't know what's the opposite of a flop?
Weekly segment. Yeah,
that
could be quite good.
Boomometer. It doesn't really work, does it? It sounds like a Bumrah monitor.
We'll workshop that one.
We'll workshop. Yeah, I mean, if you've got any ideas, let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments on YouTube. We've got flopometer. Pretty happy with that.
Yep.
Boomometer. I tossed it up there. Got knocked down.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, but if you can help us with that, he's definitely on my radar. If we talk about the other side of the game, and there's another player, maybe we'll get to him in a little later, who's definitely on the flopometer, definitely registering on the flopometer. But we should talk about the debutant. Good performance, Max. I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to throw it over to you. Good effort on IPL debut. 4 wickets, 24 runs, 3 overs. Banking it, aren't you? You
are. I mean, it's the thing is, like, it's always difficult to read too much into it, isn't it? It was a good performance. He bowled well. He mixed up his lengths, as Ian Bishop on comms was at full pains to bang on about the way he was structuring his overs. I think perhaps going a little bit too far into the realms of crediting him with everything that happened in that particular innings. Like, yeah, he bowled really well. He mixed up his pace. He had a bit of zip about him. But as Ajinkya Rahane kind of put it at the end of the game, it was a collective batting failure from KKR, and they did not help themselves to a degree. So as much as he came in on debut, obviously you're going to be nervous, and you don't always what you've got. Clearly looked the part and looked like he was good enough to hold his own, but it was one of those situations where I don't know, maybe KKR took it for granted, whatever, and he reaped the rewards of some iffy batting, should we say.
I mean, I think I can probably agree with that to some extent. Like, if you look at the wickets, we'll run through them. I mean, I think the Cox just caught mid-off, isn't he? Sunil Narine, sometimes he just misses the ball when it hits the middle of the stumps.
Especially if it's swinging a bit.
That's in the Sunil Narine. Rahane almost dropped by Tilak Farmer. It was actually quite a spectacular recovery.
Yeah.
None of those, I would say, were great wickets. Venki Iyer was bumped out. I can't remember Raghavanshi getting out. Was he caught on the rope? I I think he was. I think Rinku was
Yeah.
as well. And then Dre and Manish Pandey bowled, playing quite big shots. I would say, I mean, like for Ashwani though, you got to give him some credit. He's bowls Andre Russell. That's a big win. Andre Russell 5 off 11. I mean, that's a horror innings for him. Maybe his worst that I remember for a while. So maybe we can put him on the flopometer for the season so far. Gets Rinku out. And picks up the wickets of Manish Pandey and Rahane as well. Maybe not danger men, but certainly names. It's a decent 4 wickets though, Max, is what I'm driving at. Like even if they're slightly blagged in a couple of cases, if he could have disappeared over the rope. I mean, I think you've got to give him a thumbs up for that, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I by no means want to take away all credit from his performance. Not that he will take any notice of what I have to say about it, I suspect. But I was, just I suppose as much wanting to highlight how iffy KKR with the bat as much as Mumbai were good with the ball in general. But I mean, for sure, like he looked like a decent bowler. Like I said, he had a bit of pace about him, and he obviously made it reasonably difficult. Used the angles well. I think as much as Rajinki Hane went slicing at one, and it was like looped up in the air. It was sort of using the angles with the left armour nicely. So there's obviously a lot of good stuff in there, and a lot of credit to be given to him. And anyone coming in and picking up 4 for on debut, you're not going to sniff at that.
Flopometer. I do want to talk about this. Venki Iyer, I think he was Ross's pick for flop of the season. Didn't bat in one game, got 3 in this game, and I think 8 or 9 in his other appearance. A lot of money for a guy who is batting 5 in a role that you probably wouldn't have him down as being majorly effective in. Probably wouldn't have him down as a specialist number 5. What's going on there? Have they got buyer's remorse, do you reckon?
Yeah, they might do. I mean, it's not. It's a big role to be playing as well, isn't it? Like coming in at number 5, it's like the ballast of your middle order. You maybe a step down in importance from coming in at 4, but you need a bit more than 3 off 9 in that. It's how much are they paying him? Because
it's in the mid-20s, I think.
It's about 15 crore too much at the moment, isn't it? I'd be concerned about what I've done to my budget, but it's like there's time for it to come good, right? I think there maybe there are some specific weaknesses in Venki's game that people are starting to work out. It reminds me a little bit of the kind of Shivam Dubé mold in the sense of maybe he's got long levers and pretty good at whacking spin. If it's a little bit, if you get your length slightly wrong, you'll disappear. Maybe if you bowl it a bit quicker and at his face, doesn't go so well. And it was sort of chasing. It was chasing a sort of short wide one today, wasn't it? That got him. He sort of didn't quite pick the angles on that delivery. So I don't know. That's my working hypothesis.
Fair. I obviously, in teen Valdezere, the IPL is not major news. I think it's to put it fairly.
No.
So I've been.
They don't have a French commentary feed.
I've been keeping up with the games via highlight and a little bit of BBC Radio 5 Live when I've been able to. But you don't always get the rhythm of matches properly on that. I mean, like the IPL highlights packages are some of the worst sports highlight packages.
It's absurd, isn't it?
ever, mate. You absolutely no idea what's going on.
The only thing you can tell from those highlights packages is how good the game was by how long the video is.
Well, you've got that. You also get to see the first ball.
Yes, every time. Very important.
Every time. Very important you see the first ball, and you get about 8 minutes of preamble.
Assorted other balls.
Yeah, you get I reckon it's probably about 25% preamble, 20% first ball, and then 55% the rest of the innings. they're bad. I mean, that's the point. What I think I wanted to ask you, Max, is both these teams have got an identical record: 1 win, 2 defeats. That's, obviously you'd like that to be the other way. Obviously, you'd like to have won all 3 matches, but that's not how cricket works. Sometimes you have to lose. Which of the two do you think, from the matches you've seen, as the IPL expert so far, is the one most likely to put it together and start to turn that record round?
I'm leaning towards Mumbai at the moment, just because they've still got Bumrah to come back, and it's looking like some of the new faces that they brought in to plug those gaps so far, half decent. Those 2 guys have come in on debut and taken a bunch of wickets. It's a better place to be than KKR, where you're looking at that middle order and thinking, if you're in a situation where it's gone so badly, you've had to impact sub in Manish Pandey to stop yourself being quite so badly skittled. It's not good. But I think, the points you're highlighting around Venki Iyer, like we've not seen a lot of Rinku Singh. It's a bit, I'd say it's a bit dicier for KKR at the moment. But I mean, it's not terminal for either of them, right? They're both sides with pretty strong teams, and there's been a lot of weird results going on the last week or so. Everyone's been beating everyone, so I think it's shaping up to be quite an interesting year. But I like what Mumbai have got a little bit more. I think it'll be an important innings for Ryan Rickleton as well. Break off the shackles, get a bit of confidence in a Mumbai Indians shirt. A couple of other questions around their side, though. I mean, I don't know how long Will Jacks has got in this world, because he's certainly looking a little bit like spin comes on and he can't do the business. Welcome to the IPL, another English cricketer, that kind of thing.
What happened to that, though? I mean, last year he battered Rashid Khan all over the place. Yeah, so is that well, we can monitor. We'll monitor that. We'll put him on flopometer as well. That's three pretty good names. I think Rohit Sharma, Venki Iyer, and Will Jacks on flopometer after this game. Max, should we take a break? Then we'll come back. Doesn't look like Dan's with us yet, but fingers crossed, everyone. We will talk about Rajasthan Royals v Chennai Super Kings. This was a good game. I enjoyed this one.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Cricket Podcast. We're going through the games in the IPL from the weekend, backwards in time. I never know whether we should do it forwards in time or backwards in time, but it is what it is.
I think backwards works, right? Recency bias, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, sure. Rajasthan Royals, Chennai Super Kings. I enjoyed this game. This is like classic IPL stuff for me.
I didn't.
I think.
Boo.
Yeah, well, I can see that. Like Sunday evening, I was out in my garden cutting down some ivy with the cricket on in the back. Actually, this was the game before that I was doing this. But I'm trying to paint a picture. Shirt off, doing man stuff, the cricket on.
You can stop painting the picture now.
Yeah.
No nudity.
No, not that. I wasn't naked. I just have a shirt off, like Brad Pitt in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Imagine that, but instead of
you're a spit. I've never seen you two in the same room.
Very few people have. Rajasthan Royals, Chennai Super Kings. Let me know what happened.
Well, it was the Nitish Rana show, Jack, for the Rajasthan Royals, as he pummeled CSK's bowling. In particular, Jamie Overton, who was in for Sam Curran. If we're talking flop watch, there's another name on your radar. He's been jettisoned. Jamie Overton came in, also got dispatched, as did Ravi Ashwin. And it was not a good start by any means for CSK, and Rajasthan Royals finally getting some momentum on the board. But credit to CSK where it's due. They came roaring back into the game. Once again, Noor Ahmed making it very, very tricky in those middle overs, and Mahesh Patirana as well, picking up a couple of wickets. And they did a fine job of restricting Rajasthan to 182 in the end. But 182 was just a little bit out of reach. Jofra Archer's back. Say it quietly.
Mm.
He picked up 1 for 13 from 3 overs, and the crucial wicket of Ravindra up top, which meant that it was a big rebuild job for CSK. They were quite far behind the game, and despite 63 from Gaikwad and a little late dart from Jadeja, it was too much. And like you said, it looks a bit close, but it was 20 needed off the last over, and MS Dhoni had just holed out. Jamie Overton put a bit of a shine on things, but CSK, another defeat. And questions to be answered for the boys in yellow. Now Rajasthan have got one on the board, so everyone's won a game.
One of the things that struck me from this game, just on the emotional side, and for people who think that this, so some of our fans probably think that most of the players don't give a shit, and for a small number of players that probably is true. Rian Parag looked really relieved though not to have lost his 3. Like, it really did seem to matter to him to not have gone 0-3 as captain. Like, he didn't actually even look happy. He just looked
really relieved.
A weight had lifted from his shoulders. So, shout out to Rian, I guess, on
for caring,
breaking his duck as skipper. What's the best bit of this game to discuss, do you reckon? Is it Chennai failing to chase what appeared to be a fairly chaseable score? Is it Nitish Rana going banzai? Well, I think they're the 2 points, aren't they? Which would you like to discuss first?
I think CSK's inability to chase is probably worth highlighting on, because it's something that Dan mentioned when we spoke on Sunday, if you managed not to fall asleep by the end of it, which was that he's a little bit worried about CSK's
the dog kept me up, don't worry.
A little bit worried about CSK's ability to chase bigger scores, and like 182 is not even a big score in this in this IPL or even in recent T20 history, but it's turning into a bit of a pattern. It was the same with their game against RCB where they lost, and it looks like it was the same here. This time it was more down to a slow start than sort of a faltering middle, although the middle didn't go that well either. And I think it's a question they've got to answer. Obviously, they've tried mixing things up a little bit. Sam Curran's out the side. They brought in Jamie Overton to give a little bit more impetus at the back end of the innings. Vijay Shankar coming in for Deepak Huda and reprising that role by being as bad. It's it's a little questionable for CSK with the bat at the moment. So they've got a bit of work to do. Ravindra was out for nothing, and he has kind of been the guy up top to get things going mostly for them, and I think that was a key wicket. But yeah, I think they need to buck their ideas up, but I don't know. I haven't got many ideas for them on how to resolve it other than being better.
I don't know. I mean, so they've got Devon Conway on the bench. I don't know if he really helps the situation. I mean, I'm not a massive lover of Tripathi. Maybe if you have Conway, you can go Conway opening up with Gaikwad and drop Ravindra to 3. Does that improve things? I'm not sure. It might mean that they can play more the way that I think this team is built to play. Like, I'm not saying Ravindra is a problem here. What I'm saying is that I think CSK are good when one of the openers or both of the openers are batting quite a lot. They don't have to be batting really, really quickly. They're just doing some solid batting,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think Tripathi is good enough to do that.
I still don't understand why he's opening the batting.
I'm not absolutely sure either. I mean, like, maybe if he was batting 3 and Gaikwad was opening, I'd be a bit more enthused about this team. But like, looking at the 2 openers, I get why Ravindra would open. Like, I do understand that. I don't get why Gaikwad, who's like made his name as opener, isn't opening. And he plays a really good innings. And actually, it's when he's out that Rajasthan really win the game. And I think this is maybe the other thing Like if you didn't watch this game, it was actually I thought it was a really, it was one of those games that had a lot of ebb and flow, and some people don't think that happens in T20 cricket. And we were saying it wasn't that close, but actually it kind of was quite close. Joff bowled an amazing spell, and it looked like they were going to struggle, really struggle, CSK. Then he came off, and CSK were well in it until Hasaranga sort of flipped the script.
Remembered what he was good at.
Yeah. Like he bowled really well. I mean, Hasaranga. I don't know if he won man of the match, but well, actually, it's hard, isn't it, with Nitish Rana? Maybe Hasaranga deserved. Maybe it should be two.
I think it's a similar level of impact on the game, right? You got Tripathi, Gaikwad, Dubé, and Vijay. You got 2 to 5, like basically the bulk of the batting order.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think there are some questions for CSK. Dhoni came in and actually batted this time as well. I mean, this is one of the narratives that I've been aware of, although I haven't literally witnessed it. Dhoni not batting again this year. He comes in at the point when they still kind of could have won. But definitely could have won. But him and Jadeja, I don't know, it was a kind of an awkward partnership between the two of them. I'm not sure I absolutely love. I mean, this is going to go down well. I'm not sure I love Jadeja and Dhoni in comparison to some of the other teams' quality in that
bit of the game,
in that part of the batting lineup. Is that fair? Am I doing Dhoni a disservice? I know he hit some sixes and he is a legend, but
yeah. I don't think it's an outrageous call. Put it that way. You do. I'm trying to think about comparison points. Like SRH have got Pat Cummins at 8, which I'd probably rather have Dhoni, especially as Dhoni's come in at 9 a couple of times. I don't think it's terrible, but it feels like it's lacking a bit of something. It doesn't feel like a duo that is going to, I don't know, do what they need to do against Rajasthan. I suppose catch you up into it. In a game where you're just a little bit behind and you need a little bit of something to do something special. But I'd say it's probably pretty competent when you're, I don't know, at like 50 to 60% in the game. It's decent. So I think it's sort of like functional, but not spectacular, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's more widely there are questions to answer about that CSK engine.
Nitish Rana, 81 off 36. Talk to me about that, and then I want your judgment on which one of these two equally recorded teams will make the playoffs.
Yeah, well, it was a stunning effort, wasn't it? 81 off 36. It broke the game open for Rajasthan, and given how they struggled at the back end, it showed you just how important it was. And I think probably fair enough to give him the man of the match, because if he doesn't hit those runs, then Hasaranga doesn't even have the opportunity to take those 4 wickets, I suppose. And obviously, we know that man of the match has to go to a batter. They are the rules.
But no, it was the race of cricket.
Yeah, I mean, it was really impressive. It was an important innings for him as well, because obviously coming into Rajasthan, not really done much so far. So. Big effort, and I think he took advantage of that part of the game where CSK are weaker anyway. Like when you're playing CSK, you need to get a decent start, because you know that, and I think the evidence is there in 2 games. Noor Ahmed is a real tricky customer. He's top of the wickets charts. Ashwin in the middle overs generally pretty difficult to get away. Jadeja's makes it hard for you, and Patarana is a bag of, I don't know, a bag of all sorts, but it works, and it's tricky. You can see that it's hard to face. So he had to get, it was important for Rajasthan to get a march on CSK, and they did exactly that. Khalil Ahmed's been pretty good up to now, but he got a little bit of treatment early on, and he took advantage of Jamie Overton coming in and being a bit, I don't know. Well, he's not an opening bowler, is he? And he hadn't played for a while, so. Good on Nitish Rana. Picked the moment and took it.
We're getting some love actually for our Dhoni points from Anurag Rakshit and a lot of Lions in the chat who kind of agree with us on the Dhoni maybe not the best point.
Hmm.
Max, these two teams, they both won one of their 2 matches. Who do you back to have the better season from this point? I
Can't-
think I know what you're going to say here.
Can't not say CSK, can I? Because they're my boys. I do genuinely think though that while Rajasthan ended up winning this game, I think what we saw in the way this played out was the weaknesses of both sides. Right, CSK, aside from the batting issues, that early power play cost them in the Rajasthan batting innings, and the flip side is that once you get past, I don't know, the top 5, maybe 6 of Rajasthan, it all kind of falls off a cliff. And they've tried moving Hasaranga up the order to pad things out a bit so that Hetmeyer comes in a bit later and he's not, facing 10 overs. But it's not exactly what you want, is it? Having to bat Hasaranga at 5 or 6 so that you can use Hetmeyer where you want to use him. It's not the sign of a solid batting side. So it's I think CSK have probably got something a little bit more sustainable than Rajasthan. So I think I would lean towards them as being more likely to get things right.
Cool. Right, we're going to take a break, and when we get back, Dan Weston will be joining us.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Cricket Podcast. We have 2 more games to talk about, and we've got Dan Weston joining us. We're going to start, or we're not really starting, are we? We're going to continue the middle period of the show with Sunrisers Hyderabad v Delhi Capitals. Dan, it's good to talk to you. How are you doing? Enjoying your new YouTube project. And I've got a link to that in the show notes for anyone who is interested. IPL stuff, eh?
Yeah. Thanks, Jack. Yeah, great to be back on. Impact subbing for the second part of this show, and really enjoying the IPL. It's haven't been that many close games, but I think there's been so many talking points, and I think probably one of the biggest talking points is how every team apart from maybe CSK, seem to be able to unearth these incredible talents who haven't even played SMAT at any stage of their career. Really, I've been loving the fact that it's democratized the talent ID.
Here's a question for you then, Dan. If you were a cricketer, a real impact sub, what type of cricketer would you be?
Okay, so it would be impact in some ways and not in others. I wouldn't want to run, so I'd definitely be standing at first slip, and I just look to whack as many as I possibly can. So when I used to play village cricket back in the day before I got injured all the time, I used to be a bit of a I don't know, like a bit. Adam Rossington would probably be a good analogy, like behind the stumps, occasionally capable of pulling off a worldy full length catch, but not necessarily the most lithe, nimble, agile keeper in the world. And then when batting, let's just kind of smack a load as quickly as I could.
I quite like Adam Rossington. If you're in England and you get the chance to go watch him play, is a fun cricketer. Maybe not top level talent, but he'll always do stuff that's entertaining. So, check him out in the 100 or the Blast, I reckon. Sunrisers v Delhi, Max. Another damp squib from Sunrisers, eh?
Yeah, 2 in a row now where they've gone full throttle and, stalled, basically, because it was Mitchell Stark this time who took a 5-35 from his almost 4 overs. As, 3 early wickets, including a pretty calamitous run out of Abhishek Sharma, set SRH back. To their credit, they didn't at this point start knocking it around for 10 overs and hoping to get to a middling score at the end. They carried on going for it. Aniket Verma, 74 or 41. Pretty impressive innings from him, it has to be said. one of those guys who's come from absolutely nowhere to look like he's very, very good at cricket. Heinrich Klaassen threatened as well alongside him to actually get Sunrisers to a pretty decent score. But once they were gone, it was all too late. Even the late impact subbing in of Vian Mulder, not enough for Sunrisers. Who would have seen that coming? And they stuttered to 163. And it didn't take much for Delhi to chase it. It was a solid start from Faf and Fraser McGurk. So they took the edge off that with an 81 opening partnership, and it was as good as done.
Yeah, that is the game. That is basically the game. Dan, let's start with a question for you, as you've just joined us. There's a few people in the chat throwing around Bazball type accusations at Sunrisers Hyderabad. Are Sunrisers Hyderabad the New England?
Yeah, look, I don't think so. Is my quick answer to it. The long answer probably focuses on the fact that I know a lot of the people who coaches and backroom staff at SRH, and they're thorough preparers, and they are good tacticians and strategists, and I don't think that necessarily you can say the same for England under McCullum. So I think there's a clear difference here. I think the similarities go in both teams have an aggressive identity, but I think that in Sunrisers' case, there's two differences. One is that their approach is much more conducive to winning matches in the format that they're playing, and two is that I feel that they've got enough credit in the bank after last year for them not to panic and not to really do anything different and to change the script at the moment. I think that I'd be very, very surprised if they panicked at this stage, and I would back them to turn this around. And the fact that they've also found Aniket Verma to go into their top six as well looks an absolute star in the making, and I think that they'll be fine long term. But obviously, this is a tricky start for them.
Yeah, Max, on the preview show, one of the things we said about Sunrisers was that they turned their good batting into even better batting, or their great batting maybe even into even greater batting. Aniket Verma, as Dan was saying there, he hasn't literally come from nowhere. He presumably has played some cricket before, but not a name that I think we thought we'd be talking about 3 matches into the season as like a potential new star unearthed.
Oh, he pretty much has come from nowhere. So he's got 4 games on ESPN Cricinfo now, which is one more than he had on Sunday. So as far as
in the only other one that wasn't in the IPL, if you're on the it's
right. So as far as the body of evidence goes, it's limited. So no, didn't see it coming, but he's looked phenomenal. In particular against spin, I think he's absolutely marmalised any spin bowling he's come across so far at this IPL, which has been very, very enjoyable. But yeah, Abhishek's not properly had a good innings. Ishan Kishan had that 100 and since then has failed. So they just need a couple of people to go at the same time, right? So far, it's not done that. Not happened in the last couple of games. I think you were talking about Jadeja and Dhoni as a sort of 7-8 combo. Manohar and Pat Cummins might be a step down from that. So if there's one problem with Sunrisers, it is if they do lose a few early wickets, which they're going to do from time to time with the way they play, they maybe don't have a great get out of jail free card at the end. But that's the way it works, right? You can't have superstars all the way through your innings. But I think like Dan said, I'm not going to worry too much if I'm then a bit of a weird run out to start in this one. We had that weird Klaassen run out on Sunday. A couple of if Klaassen stays in for another few overs, then they're not far off, right? And I do also have a lot of time for the fact that when things were looking down, they did just carry on going for it. Like I rate that.
Can I ask? This is probably the first time in however long we've had the impact sub. Was it we're going into our 3rd season now, where I've seen it used and been like, that's actually I think, a talking point. Dan, Via Mulder, he gets subbed in pretty late in the game. Pretty late.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not that long left, and that means they obviously can't use Adam Zampa off the bench. Would they perhaps have been better off gambling on bowling at that stage rather than on Via Mulder, pulling something out the bag? Was that a slight tactical misstep, do you think?
I don't think it's a tactical misstep. Reason being is because when Vian came into bat, they were 123 for 7 with Aniket Verma still at the crease. So you can see the logic of thinking, well, 6 overs left with a set batter who's on about 50 by this point.
Might have lost Dan for a moment there. Max, are you still with me?
Yeah, I am still with you.
Sorry,
he's back.
Jackson. Yeah. So I don't know where you got to with that, but basically they were 123 for 7 when he come in. It was set batter Aniket Verma, who was on about 50 odd, and you can see the logic for sure in that they probably wanted Mulder to come in and bat with, Mulder's a top 6 batter, and he's going to come in with a set batter who's otherwise they're going to expose the tail completely with Verma and might not even get 20 more runs. So I actually think tactically it was fine. Obviously, in terms of outcomes, it was probably about mid-range, sticking on another 40 for the last 3 wickets. Looking at their squad at the moment without Zampa, they still had spin from Ansari, who's another leggy. Obviously, unexposed at this level, but looked good. And they still had Abhishek Sharma for some matchup stuff at the top of the order as well with the left arm spin. And then they had all different types of paces with Mohammad Shami's new ball prowess, Pat Cummins being a bit of a different type of bowler, and then Harshal Patel with his variations as well. So actually, I think they had enough with the ball. I think that actually based on the what was known to the management group at the time, I think that was a fine decision. I don't think it's a major issue. I guess to some degree, relatively, broadly fairly similar to the Manish Pandey subbing in. We don't often see batters getting subbed in during a batting innings for a team, but we've seen a couple of those instances recently, and I think that probably in these type of situations, if you don't have Mulder, we don't have Manish Pandey, you might fall into even more of a heap and have even less to defend.
Yeah, in the event Delhi do win fairly comfortably, Faf du Plessis, 50 off 27 for him. He's still got it. Probably one of the fittest men on the circuit, even in his now pretty old age. When it comes to cricketers, one of the things I really like about Faf, just from an analytical point of view, is how quickly he goes early. I was looking at someone had produced some graphs showing how many runs above the average batter a player scores at various points in his innings. And Faf is basically he scores a lot more runs early and then sort of goes into cruise mode where he's not scoring much quicker than the average player who's faced 10 or 11 or 12 or 13 balls, but does get up to speed reasonably well, which is useful for an opener. And him and Fraser McGurk, who didn't really fire in this match, I think is a potentially fun combination to watch later in the season. Max, right?
It could be box office, couldn't it? Those two going ham, but it's also got all the makings of falling in a heap from time to time. So yeah, actually keep an eye on that. That's going to be fun.
Cool. Anything else from this game? It was it wasn't super close, but I think it's quite interesting for telling us where two teams are going into the season. Like Delhi weren't massively fancied. Now they're second in the table. Sunrisers, everyone just penciled them in for a top 2 finish. They're now 1 and 2. Max, I asked you on the first two, so I'll ask Dan now. Delhi or Sunrisers, who's going to be there or thereabouts at the end of the season?
Max, do you want to go first, or do you want me to see?
No, you go, Dan.
Okay. I think Sunrisers. I still prefer them to Delhi. I think that Delhi's spin bowling attack is obviously really, really strong. But I'm not a huge buyer of their pace attack, even though Stark did well in this game. I think he's very, very high variance. And I'm not a massive buyer of Mukesh Kumar or Mohit Sharma either. So I think that Delhi probably, they've had a good start, but I still think Sunrisers are a better squad.
Cool. Should we take a quick break? Then we'll come back, talk about the game from Saturday, and maybe have a little look forward at the games coming up this week.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Cricket Podcast. We've got one more game from the weekend to talk about, and then we will take a look forward into the future. Gujarat Titans v Mumbai Indians. That was Saturday's fare, Max. Only one game on Saturday, and that always annoys me in the IPL. What did you like or hate about this game? We've given some love to Mumbai, so now we can take it all away at the end of the show.
We can, yeah. They got fairly comprehensively defeated in this one. It was all about the early runs of Sai Siddharth and Shubman Gill and Josh Buttler for Gujarat Titans. That top three, which is as good looking a top three as you could probably ask for in a game of cricket, particularly in one-day internationals. T20 probably pretty good as well. And it was 196 for 8 that they piled up, but it was those three that did almost all of it. And in response, Mumbai just couldn't get going at all. We spoke, Dan, on Sunday about how Gujarat Titans have got a bowling lineup that on one day is going to go for 45 each, and on another day is going to win you a game. And Prashad Krishna and Mohammad Siraj, 2 wickets apiece. Prashad Krishna going at 4.5 and over. It was the latter in this occasion that won them the game. Siraj took the openers' wickets. Tilak Varma and Shirakumar Yadav both falling to Prashad Krishna when they were well set and trying to steal a march on the game. And that was that. Solid win for Gujarat.
Yeah, Dan, talk me through Gujarat. I quite liked them before the season. And I think from what I've seen, and as discussed earlier on the show, it's not all of every game. I think I like them more having seen them play a couple of times.
Yeah, look, I think out of the 2 expansion teams from the last few years, they look much better set than luck now to do well this year. The top 3, I think, I've heard Mike Hesson talk about this, using this term for players, and I think that they are volume players, volume batters, if that makes sense. Like they're probably 3 guys there who are going to get sort of 400 plus runs. You'd expect them to get 400 plus runs in the comp. And I mean, Sai Siddharth's consistency, I think, is really. I saw that his last 8 innings. I think he's got over 30 every single time. Like just really, really, really strong. As Max said, amazing ODI lineup as well. Definitely. I'm not saying that they're going to be create their own highlight reel, and I'm not necessarily sure that I'd always pay to watch this team, but they do get volume of runs, this top 3, which is just as well, because I think that their middle order is absolutely dreadful. And their tail starts like so high. But as long as, I mean, and surely there's going to be times, and especially this would be a concern in a knockout game, that the top 3 are going to fail, and then they're really, really exposed. I mean, a batting first lineup of Twatter at 6 and Rashid Khan at 7 just doesn't really.
Oh, they got like 4 number 8s, haven't they?
4 number 8s.
Yeah, batting 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah.
3 number 10s as well. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, so there are holes in the team, but as long as the top 3 do the business, then they're going to be quite hard to beat, especially when you've got a decent pace bowling group. Siraj, Rabada, Prashad Krishna, probably, even despite the fact that there's a volatility of outcomes there, 3 still probably, if you're looking at 3 paces, still better than most teams. I mean, like you just talked about the pace attack of Delhi and how Mukesh Kumar or Mohit Sharma are not getting in this Gujarat team. Let's face facts. And so there's a good pace line up there, and obviously with Rashid Khan and Sai Kishore, who I'm so pleased is getting game time now as well. Sai Kishore, that they've got a good spin group as well. So look, I think they're okay. There's definitely holes in it, but there's holes in most teams, and not only is there holes in most teams look completely tactically inept at this point in time as well. So that's another problem.
I really like wickets in T20 cricket, and I think that is like Max, you said that the Siraj and Prasidh Krishna, they are kind of lottery bowlers, and to some extent Rabada is a bit of a lottery bowler as well.
Lottery bowlers, but you might actually win the lottery.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Like they do, they are guys who do strike lucky fairly regularly. I mean, like sometimes you watch them all three of them bowl, and you're like, that looks extremely hittable, and sometimes it is extremely hittable. But between the three of them, they pick up 5 wickets in their 12 overs. Even with Rabada going at 10s and Siraj going at 8s, like it's difficult for the other team to win that, especially when that's backed up, like Dan's saying, by Rashid Khan and Sai Kishore. That's a tasty bowling fare. I agree. The middle order point stands. Shahrukh Khan at number 4. That's. I don't know what that is.
It's as bad as it gets, isn't it? Let's be honest.
And Tawatia, we highlighted him as a player who's probably surfing on credit that maybe has somewhat expired. But they might not need to bat very much. Like it's
well, I mean, they do have options to improve. If they want another number 8 in there instead, they can bring in Kutsaya. So there's that option just to extend the run of number 8s. But I mean, they could bring in Anuj Rawat. He's fine. Glenn Phillips is knocking around. I don't know if you remember him.
I thought Glenn Phillips would play.
I'd have him in over Shafane Rutherford. That's a potential. A potential upgrade.
Well, they don't need. They don't need.
There's a few things they could do to make it better than it is now.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just flexing. Look what we can do with this lineup.
Is there a reason, Dan, why they wouldn't be playing Phillips and they would have gone with Rutherford?
Left-hander, maybe. So anything I can really think of. Look, and I think if you're looking at Phillips versus Rutherford as well, you're probably looking at least 5 in the field every 20 overs as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's an important consideration as well. I like you, Jack. I agree with you. I would have had Phillips in from the start, and I still would have him in now.
Yeah, I think he probably solved some of their problems. We did cover Mumbai earlier in the show, but Dan, you weren't with us. Any comment on them having seen them for a third time?
Well, every year it seems like the same thing. The tournament starts with Mumbai having like no clue about their team combos. They're almost playing with 9 men, and they decide to almost have, like, I don't know, the cricket equivalent of the X Factor, and it's like this compulsory guys who like have won the X Factor basically, and it's happened again this year. Suddenly now today they looked a little bit smarter with their combos, but then they also picked the guy I'd never played before, who was actually really good in Ashwani Kumar, and I'm thinking to myself, if you thought he was that good to start with, why is he playing the first 2 games? And that they picked the first 2 games. They picked Raju, who I actually thought looked a reasonable amount level off the standard required, and then they've brought in this Ashwani Kumar today, who I'd never actually really heard of. He looked really decent, although I think a few of his wickets were sort of off aggressive shots, people trying to take him on. So that's probably something to consider as well. So they kind of feel like they've got like a bit more of a coherent team combo now. And you could see that, for example, if you look at their 11 today, and you left out Ashwani Kumar for Bumrah when Bumrah's fit, that's actually like not a bad 11, not a bad squad at all. So look, they finally worked it out, or they're getting there. But I don't understand how. And I still say this, and it's not just a Mumbai thing. It's a problem I think a lot of teams have in this IPL. I mean, like, you've got people who, have worked in cricket for 20 or 30 years. They paid a lot of money, and I don't think they know how to structure up a T20 team.
Cool. Max, there are some cricket matches coming up in the IPL. When is our next show? We can do one on Wednesday. Should we aim for Wednesday? Let's say we aim for. Normally in the IPL, we do a show Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Like Ross and I inexcusably leaving the country on the opening weekend of the IPL kind of did screw that up. So we'll aim to try and get back to something like that schedule. So we'll talk about the next two games: Lucknow v Punjab. And you normally do the summaries. Can you do a pre-summary of the key things to look out for here? Tell us how the game is going to go. Who's going to bat first?
Well, Jack, it's Lucknow Super Giants against Punjab Kings in Lucknow. And Punjab Kings are going to win the toss, but inexcusably, despite the pitch looking really flat, they're going to decide to let Lucknow bat first. And Nicholas Puran's going to score 200 off of 20 deliveries and put Punjab out of the game. That's what I reckon. No, I mean, yeah, they're the two, like, kind of, I don't know what's going on with these two, because like Lucknow by rights should be dreadful, and they've picked up they came close against Delhi and picked up a really good win against Sunrisers with half a bowling attack, and Punjab, they've only played once. What's going on? Why have they done this? I don't know. I like Punjab from what I've seen. I still don't like Lucknow, even though they won a game. So I'm going to go Punjab. I reckon they'll do the business.
Dan, what are you looking for in this match?
The heart says Punjab and the head says Punjab. So clearly Lucknow are going to win.
Yeah. Which bit of you is it that says Lucknow, or do we not want to know?
It's the part of my brain that remembers they've got Nicholas Puran in their team. I mean, like, I think I said the other day when I was on with Max, I feel so sorry for Nicholas Puran, because I mean, I've ankylosing spondylitis, which is like a fusion of my spine, but his back's going to be even worse than mine by the end of the season because of the amount of the heavy lifting that he's going to have to do with this Lucknow team, and he's all on him. Their whole season is on one player. Until they get the opposition get him out in a game, they can't rest easy. But the rest of the squad, the vast majority of it, is an absolute abomination of T20 team building, and I just got no expectations for them at all, apart from with Nicholas Puran in the team. So I liked Punjab. The way they played in the first game was really, really positive. Really like the intent they showed with the bat. I really like Priyank Jaya at the top of the order as well. I thought he looked an excellent talent. So I'm going Punjab, but with that caveat.
Fair enough. I think. I mean, I really enjoy watching Punjab play, and I really have historically not enjoyed watching Lucknow play. So I am going to go with Punjab based on the entertainment factor. But like Dan, I feel like Lucknow will win, and that's partly because things that I want to happen in life don't tend to happen, but also, because the Punjab factor is at play, and this is the game where Puran's going to break some sort of all-time record for sixes hit or something like that. Next on Wednesday, we've got Royal Challengers Bengaluru v the Gujarat Titans. We just talked about Gujarat. We haven't talked about RCB on this show, so we're going to get them in right at the end. Dan, you can make a call first on this one. What are the big battles in RCB v Gujarat?
Well, I think if we're looking at the two teams in terms of matchups, we just already spoken about Gujarat spinners Sai Kishore and Rashid Khan, and I think that's probably where I think that the RCB probably do have a little bit of a red flag in terms of their playing of spin. And I think that's going to be put to the test by the spin duo. The other thing as well is that this is the first game RCB will be playing at Chinnaswamy in this tournament. So obviously they've had a couple of good results on the road, and now going back home where they don't have the best record as well is going to be a challenge for them. But they look okay. I mean, Salt looks good at the top of the order. Patadar looks really good. The 5 and 6, Livy and Jitesh haven't really fired yet, but I think they will. Paddock at 3 looks, I'm not sure. But the places look good. I mean, Hazelwood has looked absolutely superb so far in the tournament. I definitely think he's bowling at the peak of his abilities in terms of the expectations that I had for him. So there's a lot of positives about RCB, but Gujarat look a good team as well. And like I said, it's all on their top 3 and the spinners really. I think and then whether one of the 3 lottery ticket paces actually hit the jackpot.
Yeah, I feel like Max that Hazelwood v the top 3 could be the story of this game.
Yeah, Hazelwood and Boovy.
And it's one of those ones. Sometimes you see it, don't you? Where particularly when you've got batters who are good, good at batting, let's say, and maybe not just good at hitting sixes. I can see Hazelwood kind of being played out a little bit in this game, and I'm not sure that's a bad strategy for Gujarat to go down.
Yeah,
no,
yeah, we've seen that before, haven't we? In similar situations, and I think that's definitely a worthy approach for RCB, for Gujarat rather. I've got another narrative for you though.
Yes, let's go.
It's Mohammad Siraj returning to the Chinnaswamy.
Yes.
Does he A, smash the dreams of RCB in revenge, or does he B, have an absolute psychotic meltdown and go for 80 off the road?
I forgot about this narrative. That's going to be great.
Yeah.
Siraj v Kohli could be quite. I mean, I think they're quite good friends, but I think they both get fired up, don't they? They're probably the 2 fieriest players in the India team at the moment, and it'll be really good fun to see those 2 go toe to toe. Dan, who are you backing? Siraj v Kohli in a 12-round Queensbury Rules boxing match?
Well, I don't want to go against Siraj. I think he's going to absolutely love this return to the Chinnaswamy. I think that he will like nothing better than to take Kohli's middle stump out. I'm going to go with Siraj for this.
Yeah, I think that will be good fun. I'm really looking forward to that game on Wednesday. I think that brings the show to an end. Dan, I talked about your YouTube channel earlier on. I saw you did a rundown of your thoughts on Mumbai Indians as one of your last videos. Anything else coming up that you want to highlight?
Yeah, so I'm gonna probably after the Punjab game on Tuesday, I'm gonna do a pretty Q&A on Wednesday, which is gonna be really interesting. So just drop me a note on Twitter if you've got any questions for that. And I'm also probably going to do a little bit about some team combos for some of the teams as well. So yeah, a few things in the pipeline, absolutely.
And you can find that as a reminder in the show notes. We will be back. Max, I'm going to force you to do another podcast. You're just podcasting all the time at the moment on Wednesday to talk about.
I don't know if I'm free on Wednesday, so hate to break that one to you. But we'll
work something out. We'll get Ross out of retirement. He's due another wear of that Sunrisers Hyderabad shirt, so that'll be decent. See you then. Goodbye, everyone.